Welcome, everyone, to the Contact Center Perspectives podcast. I'm Steve McDonald, your host, and today we have a very special guest and a very special topic. We have Vivian Malandrin, and Vivian is the Senior Manager, Head of Customer Experience at Amazon. And in fact, you have quite a broad area you're in charge of. You're in charge of South America, all the way through Mexico and into Canada. So that's a lot of responsibility. But what we want to talk about here today is Amazon's lessons from adopting a real customer obsession as a core principle of your business. And there's tons and tons of studies that are out there that talk about how in today's business world, whether it's business to consumer or business to business, that actually the customer experience is the number one sustainable competitive advantage for a company. And Amazon is heralded as kind of the leader in this area. So we're very excited to talk to you about it. Just as a reminder or a little more background, you are a journalist by trade. We'd love to hear more about that. You worked on brands like Mercedes-Benz. So I'm going to turn it over to you to round out what I've been talking about your experience, and then we're going to jump right in.
Perfect. So thank you for having me, Steve. It's a pleasure being here. So yes, I'm a journalist by heart. I've always loved to hear people's story, and I start my career in some newspapers here in Brazil. I'm located in Brazil. And then I thought, okay, this is nice, but it's not what I want to do. So I've joined Mercedes and I stayed there for 12 years. I go through some areas, corporate communication, brand marketing, and then I start to be responsible for special projects, including customer experience, which I fell in love. So I love to know that my job impacts other people's lives. And then after 12 years at Mercedes, I received the invitation to join Amazon. So the most customer obsessed company on earth. Like there is no place better for me to develop this passion about customer experience. So yeah, this is my story.
Well, then maybe you can start us out and give us an idea from the insider's perspective, right? What is the point of view of Amazon on customer obsession and why?
So we have those leadership principles, right? Those 16 leadership principles that guides us in everything that we do, from meetings to decisions to every day. And they are not just part of the culture, they are part of our day to day. And customer obsession is one of those principles. And I would risk to say it's one of the most important. It's very intrinsic inside Amazon. So customer obsession says that leaders, like every Amazonian, will start with the customers and work backwards to that. So we always start with the customer question, the customer pain, the customer feeling. And then from there, we start to develop our products, projects, everything we can to make our customers happier. So this is our main goal at Amazon.
And I don't know if it's folklore or not, but there's the idea of the empty chair at tables. Is that still alive? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So that's still alive. It's a very famous concept here in Amazon. So every meeting we do, we should have an empty chair. Like, so this empty chair represents the customer. So when we do a meeting to discuss about a new product, for example, what would be the customer opinion on that? Or towards a new project or anything. So we have this empty chair concept. We still use it in every meeting because this is part of our core in customer obsession. We always think about the customer opinion. And when we don't have the customer present or we don't have the customer data, for example, for the launch of a new product, we would imagine, like, what is the customer opinion about this? Would he like or not?
And give me just an idea on how important this is, like how present this is, because lots of companies have core values and principles, and they're written on the website and they sound really nice. But when it comes to day-to-day life and thinking inside of the company, they don't really have a lot of applicability. Like, how important is this customer obsession inside of Amazon?
It's core. Besides like having this empty chair concept in every meeting, every leader should be very customer obsessed. We are evaluated by how customer obsessed we are. This is part of our personal goals. For example, when a person applies for a job interview at Amazon, in the interview, people will measure your customer obsession. For us, it's core. It's not like something to put in a wall and forget about it. So customer obsession is a very, very important leadership principle and is taken very seriously by our leaders, our performance evaluation, our interviews, and so on.
So I know that one of the reasons of many that it's important is that there are just the KPIs, the metrics, they don't always show everything that you want to know, right? Like, what is it that the metrics aren't showing that you're looking to make sure that we get a good handle on and that this customer obsession really points to?
So data is very important. Like we base our work here in data. So we always try to extract and understand based on data. But sometimes the data is not reflecting that one customer experience, for example. So we say that customer anecdotes are very powerful. So we don't rely our projects and our actions only on data, but also on customer anecdotes, because sometimes our customer feedback has so much information, Chan, that can guide us through a new project or product better than the data. So the power of anecdotes is something that we use on a daily basis. We have an internal system that is developed for every Amazonian is able to hear customers and read customers' anecdotes about diverse topics. So the power of anecdotes is very important also here in Amazon and part of our customer obsession culture.
So you actually told me there's an entire database of these customer anecdotes for almost every situation so that we can constantly internally at Amazon be literally referring to those. Like maybe start out and tell us a little bit about what an anecdote is and then how you access this.
Yeah, sure. I can give you an hypothetical example. So we look at the metrics and we see that a lot of customers are contacting us about an issue that they want to return a chair, for example. So we see an increase of a certain type of chair that is being returned. So this is what the data will show us. The data will also show us that it's because the chair doesn't fit in my house or I don't want this chair anymore, but we don't get the customer sentiment. So we can go to this database and put the situation there. So the product, the period, the timeline, and you search for anecdotes. So customer contacts about the chair or what the customers are saying about the chair. And then you can get the customer sentiment. From that, you can extract, for example, that the chair dimensions are different from what they thought, or the pictures of the chair in our website are not very accurate with the real chair. So from that, we can extract that and fix that error or that misunderstanding that this may be causing.
So in other words, you get kind of the color commentary behind the situation. You could look at spikes of this product is constantly being returned, but you don't necessarily know why that it's happening. And so this allows you to go a couple level deeper. We love stories on the podcast. We actually retain information 22 times better if we're told to us in a story. Like, what's some of the best folklore kind of like anecdote stories? I get that. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. I have one story that happened with Jeff Bezos, actually, and it's regarding a table. So Jeff was taking customer contacts. He was listening to some customer contacts because of the power of anecdotes. This was already live. And then he was with a customer service agent. So he was following this customer service agent. And then they received a contact about a desk. And the customer service agent told Jeff, oh, he's going to complain that the table he bought arrived damaged with a risk. And then Jeff Bezos said, how do you know that? He said, oh, this is the fourth contact that I receive about this table only today. Then Bezos said, oh, we have to do something about that. And then he created this mechanism inside Amazon that is called end-on cord. End-on cord is actually a terminology created by Toyota that they use in the production line. So whenever they had a problem, an issue in the production line, they pulled the cord, the end-on cord, and they stopped the production. So based in this stable story, Bezos created end-on cord inside Amazon. For when the customer service agents start to receive several contacts on product, they can pull this end-on cord, and this goes to a specialized team that can take the product out of the air until the product problem solved. It's not a folklore, but it's a real story that happened and created one of the most important mechanisms that we have inside Amazon.
And so this database, give me an idea in terms of how large it is, how often it's used. Is it a requirement to use? Do people just naturally gravitate towards it? How important is it in your daily life as you're doing your job? Anybody?
I mean, I work with customer experience, so I use this database on a daily basis. But I would say the other teams, they use it on a weekly basis. And this is very important. For example, if you want to understand if a launch is being successful, like we launch a new payment method, what customers are saying about it. The product manager can go to this database and search for anecdotes about this specific payment method and understand what people are saying. So this is very rich and very used. Every time that we write docs, because in Amazon we don't use PowerPoint presentations, so we write docs. Oftenly we include customer anecdotes. So to prove our points, besides of the data, how is the customer sentiment? So I would say most of the teams, they use it on a weekly basis. This is part of the onboarding training for most of people. We also do some trainings in presence about this database to people can create dashboards. They can create a lot of things inside this database that we call Heartbeat.
Okay, now you've got to tell me a little more about Heartbeat.
So Heartbeat is this database based on customer anecdotes that we have inside Amazon. It's worldwide use. You can find almost every customer contact there, not only by phone, but also by email, also customer reviews in our website. You can understand also the amount of contacts that we are receiving about a certain topic. So it's a very, very rich database.
I mean, you're talking, if you're saying that almost every contact is in there, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not more. This is an incredible, and I love that you call the database Heartbeat.
Yeah, it's a good name, isn't it?
Well, it's indicative of how important it is in the company. So you're in charge of customer experience. That's huge. And here's this huge database. Tell me a little bit, and just in your mind, how has it helped you and influenced you about how you manage the customer experience at Amazon? How important has it been to that? Give us maybe an example of how it's changed your thinking, changed your mindset.
I mean, this power of anecdotes is very Amazon uniqueness. Customer experience is becoming a trending topic in every company, but having this amount of anecdotes and resources to really dive deep into a topic, this is very, very Amazonian. So I'm in charge for Amazon reputation here in Brazil, for example. And unfortunately, in May, so to give an example, the south region of Brazil had a terrible flood. We have to stop deliveries and we have to stop returns. So it was very sad what happened there. A lot of people lost their houses and the airport was closed. A catastrophe, really. Diving deep into that, into the anecdotes, we could understand what customers were going through, what they were worried. They were worried that the orders they made was never gonna get there and they were going to lose the money. They were very worried about the return period, for example, right? So it's being expired already and I have no way to return. So with those anecdotes, we worked with the internal team to provide a good solution for those customers. So we extended the return period. We guarantee that all the customers with open order would receive the refund and things like that.
So it's the customer service, the agents, they're front line. They're
Yeah.
hearing everything. I talk to chief experience officers, chief customer officers on a regular basis, and they want to give more visibility cross department to the agents because they represent the heartbeat, the anecdotes, the thinking, the worries, the concerns of the customers. I would imagine that you get anecdotes about product and feedback on product. And in fact, that even it goes into another level of the conversation we wanted to have here today, which was why product is just one differentiator. Product's so important, but what did you mean by that? And what's more important than even the product in terms of its point of differentiation? And how have you seen that played out? That'd be interesting to ask.
I think it's being a change between generations. I come from the automotive industry. Automotive industry is very traditional, and I can say by Mercedes, we start to build cars. We were the first cars manufacturer in the world. And by then, everyone wanted a car. I'm not saying that everyone doesn't want a Mercedes, but deciding if you want a Mercedes or an Audi or any brand you'd like. And you enter in this dealer and you have a terrible experience. Like the people don't talk with you, they don't know how to answer your doubts, or you purchase the car, but the car broke and you've been in the road for several hours until you receive some assistance. This will ruin everything for you. You never buy a second car from that brand. I'm saying cars just to give a different example. For Amazon, it's the same thing. Like our product is the marketplace. So we sell a lot of products. And we do everything to guarantee a seamless, very good experience to our customers. So our website, our app, respective teams are always improving the customer experience to make it easier for our delivery, our returns. So we have dedicated teams in every step of the customer journey to guarantee that the customer experience will be flawless, because we know that you can receive the product you wanted in your house. You buy a bottle and you receive the bottle. But if for some reason you want to return this bottle and the experience is terrible, you will think twice before buying another product at Amazon. So the product is very important, but it's the basics, right? It is the experience that is making the difference for a customer to choose between a brand or another.
So what you're saying is that even though Amazon is number one in the world, you have a focus on customer experience because if that slips, that opens up the floodgates. There's somebody else to come in and do customer experience better. And that can be more important than price, and it can be more important than the number of products on the website. That what you're saying is that customer experience is the most important part of the delivery of the services that Amazon provides. Is that a good thing?
In my opinion, it is. We have the Amazon's flywheel. something that Bezos also created to explain the Amazon success. It's public knowledge. You guys can search for that. But a very important part of the flywheel is the customer experience. Because if you provide a great customer experience, you will attract more customers. If you attract more customers, you will attract more sellers to Amazon. If you attract more sellers, you will offer better prices. If you offer better prices, you increase your sales. So everything starts with the customer experience.
I love it. Are there other stories or things about anecdotes that you want to share with us? Because I know that you have like a million different stories, and each one tells us a little bit more and lets us understand a little bit more.
One thing that I think is very interesting about Amazon mechanism and methodology is the working backwards. So we always start with a customer pain point or a customer idea or a customer suggestion, and then we work backwards to that. For example, a customer said that when he was going to read books in his laptop, he got tired. So we said how we can solve that. And we created Kindle. So working backwards from a customer pain and a customer anecdote is very rich for that reason. We can get also insights for our business to launch new product and projects, for example. So these mechanisms of working backwards is very Amazonian, and every company can adopt that. So you always start from the problem or the results you want to have, and then you trace your steps backwards until the day you are today. So you have every milestone, every deliverable, everything very well mapped.
I love it. So, with everything that you've talked about and this customer obsession, I'm interested to know personally what you're most proud of based on what you do at Amazon.
I'm proud of some achievements. I can tell you one from the first year that I joined Amazon. We had a customer contact. So the power of anecdotes, once again. It was this older lady. She was around her 80s. And she called us and she said, okay, I know that you guys just opened Amazon in Brazil. And I have a computer and I want to know how I can purchase. She had no clue. She had no idea how to make anything in the computer. And the customer service agent went above and beyond and took his time to teach her how to create an email, how to create an Amazon account, how to put her credit card there. So he teach her every step of the journey to create an Amazon account. After that, we created in our website one of our help pages based on how to create an Amazon account. So this maybe seem basic, but sometimes when you're launching a store, there are a lot of things to think about. And we didn't think that, oh, there are people that don't know that they have to have an email to create an Amazon account, right? So we create this step by step in our website nowadays. So I think this is a very good story.
I want to make sure that we cover everything that you want to cover. What else about being on the inside of Amazon and understanding and implementing this haven't you been able to cover yet? Or is there anything else that you want to say?
I think the Amazon is a school on customer obsession, and a lot of companies could extract the best out of it and implement them in their own companies. So there are a lot of things that I think, oh, if I knew this sooner, I would implement things different at Mercedes, for example. So I think a good takeaway would be always think about your customer. Always try to understand what your customers are saying about your product, about your service. And I know that sometimes the reality stuff or the company has a low budget, but you can go there and talk with the customers and just listen, right? You can go to social media and look at the comments in your page, for example. So there are a lot of ways. You don't have to have a heartbeat database. I know that few companies will have, but you can start with a small company. This small company can go there, understand their customers, know your customers' preference, what they are talking about, what they want. Sometimes you're putting the efforts in the wrong basket. So I think this is a good takeaway, and don't rely only on the metrics. As I told, the power of anecdotes are very powerful. If you can do like a survey or research or anything, talk with your customers. I think it's a good way to start.
And everyone has the opportunity to give a bigger voice in their company to their agents that are talking to the customers every single day. So that's one of the big takeaways that I have here is that we should be revering their job and what they're doing, and we should be listening to them more because they have the gold, right? They have all of the knowledge of working with the customers.
Yeah.
So I know people are going to have questions more than we've covered here in the podcast. Would it be appropriate if we gave maybe a link to your LinkedIn profile that people could reach out?
Sure, please do. I love to exchange ideas and we can always connect. It would be a pleasure.
Well, Vivian, thank you so much for coming on and sharing and giving us some insights on the insider and really giving us the motivation and the desire and kind of the game plan of what we should be doing more and more and more of inside our own company. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate. And I think that another important message that I would like to give, I know that your audience have a lot of CEOs and CFOs and C levels. It has to start with them, right? So you can't say, oh, I have a person that is taking care of customer experience in my team and leave to that. We have to have the board of management on board. So go there, listen to your customer contacts, touch with your customers, and give and set the tone for your team. This is key.
That is incredible. And actually, we'll use that as a quote and help people do that. And it is a top down thing, isn't it? It has to be cultural. It has to start from the beginning. More words of wisdom. Thank you, Vivian, very much for coming on.
Thanks, Steve. It was a pleasure indeed.